everybody, it's me, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to the Hit and Run right here on FantraxHQ. We're going to talk today about some of those infielders that changed teams this past week. I know the hot stove has been, well, relatively lukewarm so far this offseason, but don't worry, fear not. Some action's starting to actually heat up, and let's start with Brian Dozier, who's moving to the Washington Nationals on a one-year deal. It's a smart deal for Dozier, let him rebuild his value a little bit in the marketplace, and then, hey, move on maybe for a multi-year extension. I want to warn everybody, though, too. In head-to-head leagues, I would shy away from Dozier. I know he's got some power and speed combination, but listen to me. In head-to-head points, head-to-head roto categories, I'm telling you he's not the best asset, and the reason is he's a very streaky player. You look at 2016, 2017, those years where he had really good seasons, they were basically really good second halves. Now, that you can sustain in season-long roto with Brian Dozier. That's fine, because as long as you have that big second half, you're in good shape. But what if he doesn't? Then you're basically in a vacuum there the entire time with Brian Dozier sucking wind, and that's not what you want. I think Brian Dozier is a player you'd rather trade for on July 1st than a player to draft March 1st. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. All right, let's talk about Jed Lowrie, too, who goes to the Mets. This is a good opportunity here for Jed Lowrie. This is a guy, too, getting out of Oakland, where he was much better hitter on the road the last 2 years. He's coming off 2 seasons with a 800 or better OPS. That's solid. He's going to be in a good spot in the batting order for the Mets. He's going to maintain multiple eligibility, which is great nowadays in fantasy with that 10-day DL, the scourge of fantasy baseball, the 10-day DL. So he's going to play second base, qualify there from last year. He's also going to play, obviously, third base mostly this year for the Mets. Could even play a little first base. Who knows? The world is Jed Lowrie's oyster right now. But look, in terms of deeper leagues, Jed Lowrie's value, I think, is still pretty good. I understand the injury concerns. I understand the age. I get it all. But you have to kind of put that aside and realize that could happen to anybody at this point in Major League Baseball. So you might as well just take the value that you're going to get Lowrie at. And remember, him getting out of that ballpark is a positive for him. Not a huge positive, but positive enough that it really does give him a little bit of bump in value. All right, I want to talk about DJ LeMahieu, too, which seems like he's going to be going to the Yankees along with Troy Tulowitzki. Look, these guys are just Band-Aids unless some other big move happens. They're just trying to get Didi Gregorius back this summer. When he does, he'll be playing shortstop. And in the meantime, look, maybe Torres moves to short and DJ LeMahieu plays second base. But you shouldn't care because DJ LeMahieu is a wretched offensive player outside of Coors. Absolutely wretched. You don't want him. Look at the splits between Coors and everywhere else in his career. It's absolutely dreadful. Stay away. And I'll give you one more bonus one. Under the radar, Tim Beckham signed with the Seattle Mariners this week. And what that means is, well, people say, oh, well, he's just a backup for Crawford. Guess what? J.P. Crawford's going to start the year in AAA. Everyone's already talking about that. He has not yet shown he can hit Major League Baseball pitching. So if Tim Beckham gets off to a good start this spring and it carries over early on, he might end up keeping that job for a lot longer. And if you're playing in 15-team or more leagues, Beckham is a name you might want to keep in mind for your middle infield slot as a bench guy who does have some upside. We saw 2 years ago he is capable of having some good offensive seasons. Last year's injury killed him. But look, we throw away last year. It's 2019. It's a new year. And if you're in a new year, you should get the Fantasy Baseball Black Book 2019. Speaking of 2019, available now on Amazon, #1 in fantasy sports. It's the best guide out there. It's more of a season-long companion than a guide. And of course, check out the Fantasy Black Book show on the Fantrax Podcast Network and all the great content at FantraxHQ.com. All right, you can follow me on the Twitter machine at Joe Pisapia 17. For everybody else here at Fantrax, stay on track.